Test, test.
Test, test.
Sandwich.
Hey, welcome to episode 165 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul
Yo.
and Blake.
Hey,
Hi.
hey.
Hi.
Hello.
How you been?
What up? Sup.
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 And
I like how that's the one that we just
greetings.
automatically chime into.
Sup. I always say sup.
Yeah.
That's always my thing. And then I remember
Yeah, that
Well,
was
you're
you invented
Kiwi.
that, I think, right?
Oh yeah. From way back. Yeah. I was the first person to
First
say
one.
that.
Yep.
I was sick of saying like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
I don't have time to say that.
Mm.
You gotta
You
shorten it.
tried just going up.
Yeah,
That would.
but
that
nobody.
wouldn't catch on.
People were just looking up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. and then I'd rob them.
But now everyone knows you as the guy who made sup.
Yep.
Yeah.
How have you been? We
all right.
we both got sick. It seems.
Yeah.
I'm still. My ears are still blocked. Like I still sound weird. I think.
You sound weird.
I think I. Well, yeah. Yeah, I think.
I think listeners, does Blake sound weird?
Well, they'll just
Yeah,
say,
let us
yeah.
know.
I couldn't tell anything different.
I would
Always.
guess you're hearing weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just hearing weird
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Listeners, is he hearing weird? Just email Blake Y to frenzyquestion@gmail.com.
Yep.
Why do you hear so weird? That's the question that I want you to email.
Why do you hear so weird?
You guys been playing stuff?
Yes. It's been like a month, right? Since
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
month?
it
I
has.
would have expected you guys to.
Yeah.
I played a bunch of Dredge.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
And
Yes.
like last week, a new DLC came out for Cult of the Lamb.
Oh, yep.
So
Yep.
I'm full cult mode again.
Okay. Is it good? Is
It's
it
fantastic.
free or paid?
Free.
Okay.
So they essentially added a whole end game.
Okay, good.
They like doubled the length of the game.
Oh, wow.
essentially,
Okay.
For free.
Because I beat that, I guess a couple months ago, probably.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fine. Like it was fun.
Yeah.
And I think I may have talked about it back then, but I feel like they kind of went only surface deep for both the dungeon crawling and the base building.
Yeah. I don't think they really only extended the campaign by adding the end game. They didn't really go much deeper in either of those aspects.
Okay, so it's just more content, not necessarily deeper content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it gets like a little bit harder, but it's essentially still the same enemies, and there's
Yeah.
it's not particularly more complex. It just gets like a little bit harder
Yeah. Okay.
as you carry through.
I found a lot of the spells to be just bad, and so so there were just a few spells I would sort of seek out and keep.
Yeah.
Almost regardless of the rank of the other ones I would find.
Yeah, that's fair.
And true even of the weapons. Like I think the slowest one's the hammer and stuff. Just bad.
Oh, I love the hammer.
But that mobility, you need that mobility to like do anything, especially in the boss fight.
No, I'm like because you can like kill a boss in like 5 hits with the hammer.
Not the boss.
Oh, the end one?
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't do that with the hammer.
Yeah, first time I tried to, and it's weird because you don't really get a choice of weapon. You're given a weapon for that.
You get 3 to choose from.
Yeah,
But it's still random and they can all be daggers.
and then there's no opportunity to change it.
Yeah.
or improve it. And it's just like go
Yeah.
beat the boss, and if you get like duds, you're just kind of boned.
Yeah, I think that's why that's one of the only places in the game that has no punishment for dying.
Yeah.
You can just keep retrying it.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's because RNG does play such a big factor into how that fight goes.
Yeah. So how's the DLC?
I really like it. It is really just an extension of the game and following the same format as what you just played the first half of.
Yeah.
They added relics as well, which is just like another
Ooh.
item with an
A
ability
slot?
you can use. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's some fun things there, but for the most part, they kind of feel either overpowered and then you don't get to use them often, or a little bit lackluster and
Right.
you can use them a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't find them like having strong synergies with the other things I was doing.
Mhm.
So But they are cool. Like it does add another way to solve some problems that you might be running into.
Okay, interesting. Did you find that there were any synergies with like the weapon and spell? Because I found that they all seemed kind of very independent. There wasn't really an opportunity to create a build per se.
Yeah, so not really. I feel like it's more a case of you either get some short range curse to go along with to provide like some melee range
Yeah.
defense, or to provide some area some long range attack.
Yeah, yeah.
There was one other thing they did do though is they also added heavy attacks for every weapon type. Which is kind of interesting because the daggers, which have like
Very quick.
very fast but
Yeah.
super short range,
Yeah,
like their melee distance from you that
Very
they deal
short.
damage is super short.
Yeah.
They added a thing where like you essentially like drop 5 daggers and that travel out from you in a direction.
Yeah.
And that's reasonably long range and it does quite good damage too. So
okay, interesting.
that for me added more gameplay options than any of the like
Yeah,
curses or relic stuff.
yeah. Okay, cool. I
And
might.
the axe is kind of great because you can like throw it.
Oh,
You can just like straight biff your axe,
That's
and it goes out and
nice.
spins, so it can like actually hit an enemy more than once. And you can
Okay,
like dart
yeah.
around, and then it'll
Uh-huh.
come back in a different direction.
nice.
Does it
okay.
always come back to you?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
that was real fun to play with.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Uh,
Can you throw it then, and as it's coming back to you, like move position so it like hits more
So it
enemies?
travels. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man,
Yeah.
that is really.
It
Cool.
was really hard to like do well though.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But if you pull it off, you're
Felt
like, hell
real
yeah.
skillful, yeah.
That's cool.
Blake,
Yo,
you been playing anything?
I have been playing a little game called Age of Darkness.
What's that?
It's this.
For listeners
It's-
who
it's-
haven't been following, I work on that game.
it's like a it's like a ripoff of Warcraft. I think it is.
Oh, interesting. Most people call it a ripoff of They Are Billions. So that's,
Yes. I played They Are Billions, and this is definitely better in my opinion. I'm not
according to all the comments we get.
really.
Yeah.
Wow. I played They Are Billions and like just didn't get into it. Like this,
I honestly same.
yeah, this I'm like really into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you are better to talk about this
Okay.
because you worked on it.
Sure. Yeah, we put out the first 2 acts of the campaign like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And yeah, it's people seem to like it okay.
It's good.
And there's still some more to come and lots of bugs to fix.
It looks like so. I've just finished the 4th mission.
Yeah. So is that because we've got a prologue,
Yeah.
is that
Oh
including the-
no, that's not counting
Okay.
the prologue.
So you did the one where
At least I don't think it is.
you're traveling with Edwin and it's like pretty dark and you're picking up troops
Yeah.
throughout the wilderness.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Making your way towards the crystal.
Yeah. I just did that one. Yeah.
What do you think?
And then found some sort of device on the crystal.
Yeah.
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 Oh man, the campaign starts off. I do not want to spoil anything because even though it's within like the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so it goes so dark so quickly.
Yeah.
And it hooked me like real well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the
It
story
really set a
set a tone.
fantastic tone for
Uh-huh.
all. Like you got a real sense of this faction, and then just the interaction, the small interactions I've had with other factions. You get I feel like a decent vibe of like
You get
what
'em?
they're about. Yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
That's good.
Like there's like I don't know the full lore, but there's a rebel faction that has a queen.
Yep.
And I guess she's like,
Alis.
what's that?
Alis.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a playable character in survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did play as her a few times
Yeah.
in survival. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good, man. I don't want to spoil anything. That's the thing. It was quite good,
Fair
but
enough.
yeah. It made me want to play some more survival.
Uh-huh.
After a couple of missions, I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm just gonna play some survival.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Well, I got to because I I think the first couple missions, like you're not building or doing anything,
Uh-huh.
and then there's a mission where you got some limited building.
Yeah.
And I was like, that just sort of
It
whet
whet
my
your
appetite
appetite,
for building a whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Um,
you'd played survival before, so you knew what you were missing.
yeah, yeah. And I'd played survival before, and I hadn't ever really done very well.
Mm.
So this time I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up at least a basics guide.
Yeah.
So I just Googled like the most beginner guide, right?
Like Age of Darkness for beginners.
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah. And I was like, and I get like, thumbnails that say like, noob, beginner, or whatever. like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I watched some of those and I was like, okay, I think I get it. There's like, previously I was just winging it, right? Just
Yep.
building whatever, that I thought would work. But there is a pretty decent, pretty loose guide of like, you want to aim for these particular technologies by
These Death Knights.
these Death Knights.
Yeah.
And since doing that, since just even realizing that was like, now I'm actually doing better.
Yeah.
I'm still getting completely screwed trying to guess where the wave is going to come from
Yeah.
before the wave happens.
Yeah. So there is a tool for that, and the guides you're looking at might not have it.
Is it that tower
The
thing?
watchtower. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've never actually used that.
Yeah. That might be your mistake there.
Yeah. How does it work? Because there's a radius, and I was
Okay.
like, how many of these do I actually have
Yeah.
to put around?
So you build if you build a watchtower, if the path goes through that radius, it's highlighted on the ground.
I
You'll
see.
like a big red trail.
I
so you-
see.
So the kind of this, there's a few ways to use it. And this is the watchtower. Some people don't like it. Some people really like it.
Yeah.
I think because there's a bit of strategy to how you use it. If you're putting it if you have it overlapping your keep, you know pretty much exactly what general direction it's going to come from because
I
you
see.
look at your keep.
Sure.
Oh,
And
I see.
You can know
Yeah.
approximately where the closest path from
Yeah,
the keep
yeah,
is
yeah.
going to take. If you put it at a middle distance,
Mm.
it's kind of like the worst place to put it, in terms of like getting it from a blank slate. If you don't know any information about where the crystal is,
Yeah.
because it's just the most room for error.
Right.
But if you put it towards the edge of the map where you know a crystal is,
Yeah.
you can very quickly determine them.
Okay.
So it's sort of like
Yeah.
where you're putting the keep and how much information you already have, or where you're putting the tower at,
Mm.
will result in like I guess different amount of value from it.
Can you build multiple?
You can build 2, I think.
I
and,
see.
And the
Ah,
radii
interesting.
cannot overlap.
Ooh, okay.
So
There's some real
but you can also sell it.
Yeah.
And build it in a new
Yeah,
location.
yeah.
So
that as well as a strategy that I have realized of
Yeah.
just like selling stuff that I'm not using. And like as I was expanding in previous games, I just left the fortifications there because my thinking was like, oh, if the outer fortifications fall, I can fall back to the other ones. But generally, if the outer fortifications fall, I'm screwed anyway.
Yeah.
So I just sold them up and then concentrated on
yeah,
the outer
second
walls.
layer or whatever.
Yeah.
The one thing I should say is the watchtower only highlights the path when you know when the location of a crystal is visible or revealed.
So once the crystal shows up,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine because usually I'll start banking resources like
when that happens.
before like when it's getting close to that reveal, and then when it reveals, I'll try to guess the area, put a load of fortifications there, and then they go around a completely different path, and I'm like, well, game over.
Currently, we have a bug where they don't even follow the path that the
That
watchtower
happened to me once.
will tell you. So, it's not great.
That happened to me once.
Yeah.
Where I saw the path in the clouds, and I'd set up my thing,
Yep.
and then they attacked from a completely different direction.
Yes,
Um,
that is a bug.
Yep.
That's not meant to happen.
I wondered if it was like something to do with pathing, like because I had loads of walls, and I'm
Yeah.
like, was it trying to path to somewhere that it treated a wall as like it
obstacle
couldn't,
or whatever?
or something like that?
I think it's just we made some optimizations to the pathing calculations.
Yeah.
and I think it's a roll and effect of that. So it's
Yeah.
it's meant to be fixed.
It only happened
very
once.
soon.
and I did survive the night
That's impressive.
because it was on an earlier,
first one or
yeah, it was on
whatever.
like the first or
Yeah.
second one, but it was still like me sitting there watching the defenses
Yeah.
and just being like, where are they?
Yep.
And then I see this like skull on the map just
Yeah,
going
going
all
way,
around.
way,
Like, what the heck? Where are they going?
Yeah.
They're gonna come back here, right?
Nope. So yeah, that's Age of Darkness campaign.
Yep. I like maybe the thing that I like more about this than They Are Billions is just like the general darkness of the whole
Age
setting.
of Darkness.
The Age of Darkness.
Yeah.
Like everything it's got that like real grungy medieval kind of vibe. And from what I remember from They Are Billions, it was like it was very steampunk, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like just like the idea that you're lighting, you're using light to fight back the darkness. You know, like it's very cool. I really like it. It's a
Glad
good
you did.
game. It's a good game.
In Mission 4,
Yeah.
did you defend the Order Keep or the Rebel Keep?
Rebel.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you went to the right path. So a lot of people don't realize this,
Oh.
I think. But Mission 4 actually is functionally 2 missions with the same endpoint.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So very early on, you are there's a branch in the path
Yeah.
which results in a completely different experience.
Oh, wow.
depending on which side you take.
Yeah. I just don't like those Imperial guys. They're just
the
they're
Alderaan.
real snooty,
Yes.
uppity.
Yeah.
Like,
So did you go to the Alderaan gates and then like bail or something? Or maybe you didn't even find the Alderaan gates.
No. Well, because I sided with the rebels and was like over there
Doing stuff.
doing stuff, and then I was like, I'll just go back down to the where the Imperial guys are.
Yeah.
And then they started attacking me, and then I realized there was a giant
Oh,
ballista
yeah,
tower there. And I was
ballista
like, okay, never mind. I'm just
Yeah.
not going to go anywhere near
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So that's it's that was probably the most complex mission we had to set up
Oh yeah.
because you can take these different paths. If you take the right path, so the branch is at the very first choice.
Mm.
Basically, you help some rebels fight some nightmares, and then you're given a choice to take some Order prisoners from them, or take all of the prisoners, which includes an Alderaan captain,
Yep, I remember.
or take no prisoners.
Mm.
And if you take the if you take the Alderaan captain, it unlocks a special choice in a
Oh.
different location as well.
Is that where you choose to either fight with the rebels or fight against them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's two. We might
Oh,
be talking about different spots.
there's more choices. Yeah.
Yes. There's several places where you can do choices. But if you if immediately after that event, you can go to the left and it kind of loops back around towards the south,
Mhm.
and you go through like an Alderaan base, which is I think what you found, and the gates will be open.
Yeah.
Or you can go to the right and you kind of go through like some ruins,
Yeah.
and then you go to like the rebel base, and as soon as you start the rebel like encounter there, where you have to defend the rebel base,
Mm.
the Alderaan base gets locked.
Oh right.
And
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
go through the Alderaan base
Yeah.
instead, and
Yeah.
you go further north, you find like an Order Keep,
Oh.
and you have like a base defense there. And if you start in that, then the rebel side gets locked. So you
Oh,
you can
cool.
only do one.
Yeah.
But you can actually revisit those sites.
Yeah.
And the one you didn't defend will be in ruins,
Oh wow.
which is I think
How do
quite
you
cool.
revisit?
Because they have the same endpoint, they kind of loop back around.
Also, you can.
You can like if instead
Oh.
of going straight north towards the crystal after that
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
you can go to the right or the left or whatever to go to the other
Oh.
side of the map,
Yeah.
and you'll see like everything's been trashed.
Wow, that's
basically.
cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think not many players have noticed it, if any. I haven't seen
Yeah.
anybody talking about it, but so you can kind of do two different stories
Yeah.
there.
Well, I did like because that first option you have where it's like how many prisoners do you want to take, right?
Yeah.
I thought okay, pretty basic.
yeah,
But
take
then
them all.
take them all.
Yeah.
Why not take them all? But then the next choice, which side do you side with?
Uh-huh.
like I did not actually think that it was going to then turn that entire faction against me. I thought
Yeah.
it would just turn that group against me.
Right.
And so when I tried to go back, and then I'm like, oh, actually,
Right,
I'm
okay,
fully against
okay.
these people now.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you actually did the order side, I think.
I did the. No,
Blue
I
guys? Blue
did
guys?
the
Or red guys?
red guys.
No, it's hard to describe because there's
I
lots
sided
of little
with the
encounters.
rebels. I sided with the
Yes, so
rebels,
you sided with the
not the
rebels.
golden shiny
Yeah.
guys.
But then after that, you went north, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a big blue base.
Probably
And-
yes.
And some nightmares kind of come from the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did the left side of the map,
Okay.
but there's the right side of the map
Yeah.
is completely different.
Oh.
I can tell you what it's like.
Yeah.
It is like you go through some ruins.
Yep.
There's a guy who's like closed off a gate and refuses to let anybody through because he doesn't trust anybody. And you end up going through to where there's a rebel base, like a bigger rebel base. And you have to defend that in a very similar way to you defend the order base.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Except I would say this is probably harder.
I thought defending that order base was pretty tough.
Yeah, they're both pretty tough.
Yeah.
They're kind of meant to be the big sort of pinnacle encounters. And all
Yeah,
that.
I was hoping that was the pinnacle encounter because like by the time I got to the crystal, I was like, I can't
Don't
deal
have a
with
lot of
another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
The
lost so many
The crystal's a
tropes,
much
yeah.
smaller encounter.
Yeah.
So from the rebel base, you can go to the left and go up and do the crystal stuff, or you can go to the right and you find like a lone survivor, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a choice to like either help him or like tough love, and depending on what you do, you get a different outcome,
Oh,
and you can
wow.
like.
I
there's just
like
lots of little story elements.
like
to
this.
explore
Yeah,
on the
I
right
think-
as well.
I think that's great. Like just having those options is already cooler than any like campaign in a RTS game I've played before.
That was so the whole choice system was something we came up with a few months in. When we're like, how do we do story elements? And
Yeah.
if we want like branching narratives, or
Yeah.
like how do we differentiate this from survival? And it basically it reuses a lot of the same stuff from survival blessings.
Right.
Like when you
Yeah.
finish a death knight, you
Yep.
get to choose one of these three things. Basically
I
same.
mean, it
UI.
ties in nicely so that when you do if you do a survival, you get those options, and you're like, I'm familiar with this if I've
Yep.
done the campaign.
Yep, and it's really clear cut. Like even if
Yeah.
you haven't done survival, you understand that you're choosing a thing out of
Yeah.
and then I'll have certain outcomes.
So, how much of that is throughout the entire campaign? Is there a lot of choice?
There's
stuff?
one in the previous mission. You may or may not have got it.
I think I did, but I don't remember paying all that much attention to it.
Yeah.
I do remember when a choice came up for the
Yeah.
first time. I was like, "This is neat." Like, I was like, "This is cool."
Yeah, I think the first time you do it, it's like a choice of free research, basically.
Right.
You've rebuilt the workshop for like the village,
Yeah.
and it's like, do you want towers, farms, or houses?
Ah, yeah.
And you
yeah.
get one for free, and you
Yep.
can research the other two at a cost.
Yep.
So then mission 4 has a bunch. Mission 5, which you haven't done, has 4 different
Oh,
opportunities.
this is very cool.
Mission 6, I don't think Mission 6 has any anymore. It used to have tons.
Yeah.
There's I don't
Used to
think
have
you listen-
tons. But
Well, I can tell you about why. Well, I will tell you about why.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of insider baseball. So Mission 6, I'll try not to spoil any story
Right.
elements for you, but in terms of gameplay, there used to be a couple moments where heroes would get isolated from the group, and essentially we wanted to do like a room puzzle where like there's a series of rooms and the doors lock in different ways and different combinations based on switches that you find in different rooms.
okay.
And so you'd have to split the heroes up, and like this unlocks
I
that,
see.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that unlocks that, and
I
you
see.
kind of progress them separately.
Yep.
You know, we've all kind of, I think we're all kind of vaguely
Yeah.
familiar with the
They have
concept.
that sort of stuff in Pathfinder or
Yeah.
Pillars of Eternity. Those sorts of games where occasionally you're in a dungeon and you need to separate people to
Yes,
to
to-
activate certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the same fundamental principle, and we had done it, and I quite liked it. I thought it was quite cool, but it just did not fit the pace of the mission that it was in, and we got that feedback and we scrapped it. But it was originally like, which door do you open, and that kind of thing, or like open or close, or so there were lots and lots of little choices, and they were all basically the same choice of like open or close the gate. But
Yep.
with the way the game is scripted, they were all independent.
Wow.
Anyway, Yeah, Age of Darkness. If you haven't played it,
Mm.
email frenzyquestion@gmail.com and say I haven't played it.
I do have some
I haven't
feedback
played
for
it.
you though.
Yeah. Okay.
There needs to be some more something more clear that your hero is, close to death. Because I've not watched.
Yeah.
I've
You
occasionally.
moved the camera away and he's died. And
Yeah,
then you lose the
there
mission.
was a mission. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe mission. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
where I kept failing it, and I was like, "Why am I suddenly failing it?" And I didn't even know that my hero was
Yeah.
like dying, and
Yep.
so I had to, because I mean, it basically taught me to like always keep a good close eye on their health.
Yep.
But just if they get to 50% life, just give me a red flash or something. Like
Fair.
Well, that's usually the red around the edges.
Yeah,
of the screen,
yeah.
right?
Just
Starts
give me
flashing.
something.
Things get dimmer, and you're like, okay.
Especially in survival, right? Because you've often got so much stuff happening.
Well, in
you
survival,
can't always.
he respawns. You're in survival.
Oh yeah,
hero
actually, yeah,
can
that's a good
respawn.
point. He does just
So
respawn.
Not such a big
Oh yeah,
deal.
but still, I'd like to keep him alive.
Very fair. Very fair feedback. Yeah, we have a particular issue with campaign where you've got those like little portraits in the corner of all of your units. But in reality, there are hundreds and hundreds of more units, like all over the map, that are specifically there's specific code that was written to like hide them.
Oh yeah,
and including heroes. Like
uh-huh.
anytime there's a cutscene, that's another version of Edwin.
Oh right, yeah.
And like sometimes we disable the Edwin you've been playing as and create a new one somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
to play
Mhm.
as.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So there's like lots of little things going on, which means that like those portraits aren't 100% reliable at the moment. So
Right.
sometimes it'll look like Edwin's on full health.
Yeah.
Because it's actually tracking like a cutscene Edwin
I
or an
did-
earlier Edwin or something like that, and we don't.
I did see that
Yeah.
my guy was on full health, but it after a few minutes it seemed to right itself. Like
Oh, interesting. Well, maybe there's a different bug though. There's a lot of bugs at the moment.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
trying to get through them. It's a very small team, and the code base is about as stable as like week old wet spaghetti.
Right.
So,
yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, the core of the game, right, is the survival,
yeah,
and that.
yeah. The history of this is they made survival mode, and then after they made survival mode, they said, "Let's also do campaign." And
Yeah.
multiplayer." So it wasn't really built to support either thing. So there's a lot of blocks stacked on blocks stacked on
Yeah.
blocks.
Yeah.
And not. Yeah, it's a bit touchy.
Yeah.
About everything.
Are there so there's because there's other factions.
Yeah.
Are there other campaigns for those factions?
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay. I just wondered that because like with like the Queen being a playable hero.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is there a point in the campaign, or is there a unlock? Like once you go through the campaign, is there an unlock to play through
Right.
as
Well, spoilers, cover your ears if you don't want to know. There are opportunities to play as other heroes in the campaign,
okay?
but the campaign is broadly focused on Edwin.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I can really say at this point.
Yep.
I've been playing some stuff.
What
Oh,
have you
yeah.
been playing?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember now. I've been playing Minish Cap on
What?
on the Switch.
What is that?
Zelda Minish Cap is a Game Boy Advance Zelda. I've been what else? I got so Google Play has a thing called Play Pass.
Yeah,
Have you got Play Pass?
I don't have it. I keep getting ads for it though.
Yeah, I got ads for it as well a bunch, and then I was like, screw it, I'll try it out. And so I downloaded tons and tons and tons of games from Play Pass because it's like, it's exactly what you think it is. It's Netflix for games or whatever.
Mm.
And there's a bunch of Kairosoft games, which are like fun little mobile games.
Okay.
I got like a fishing game. I got a bunch of idle games.
Oh wow. Yep. Of course you do.
I got a fun puzzle game called Sagrada.
Okay.
But the thing I've noticed is a lot of games don't focus on the quality of actually interacting with the game.
What do they focus on? monetization.
There's that certainly, or stretching out the game time is a big one.
Yep.
Or progression elements
For more potential monetization
yeah.
possibilities.
I think a lot of games nowadays rely on progression elements to keep players sticking around, which is it can work. Like you can feel your brain wanting to latch on and see what's next.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But so many of these games are fully reliant on progression elements and have terrible actual like game feel basically.
Yeah.
Like you can't. It sucks to navigate. It's menus like menus within menus within menus within menus.
Yep. So you're just waiting. Basically, the game is waiting for the next thing to unlock. Like you, is that like the next? Like,
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that.
well, like I've played games where like the progression is like, okay, you do a bunch of stuff and then you now have to wait because like stuff that you've done is on a timer for you before you can achieve to the next thing, and it just gives you. It's supposed to be like, oh, it'll bring you back in an hour or so when this thing is done researching or whatever.
Some games might
but
have
really, to me, it's just like now I stop playing and forget about it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. There are games like that. The worst games like that are the ones that don't continue to tick in the background.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Why
those,
would
those?
why?
That is a very good question.
So you just sit there with an open phone for an hour watching something.
Oh, I played something like that.
Yep.
And it was really
there are a bunch, and they're obnoxious. But I guess more to my point is like, even if it's just like a basic idle game where it's just pressing buttons or whatever, sometimes it's just the buttons don't react well, or they don't have. There's things where you'll try to scroll, and scrolling you'll press something, and it'll consume all of your resource, the thing that you've been saving for hours to do the thing that you actually wanted to click on. So it's just, I think there's a real lack of focus on game feel in mobile games in particular.
Are these games do you feel like these games that you are looking at now are bottom of the barrel because you've gone through so many idle games?
I don't think so.
Have you gone to just the shoddily made
I'm talking
cash
about
grabs?
idle games, but like there are some very like non-idle games that I've been playing.
Okay.
I've kind of noticed that a lot of those idle kind of games start out really good, and then later when you unlock all of the like new stuff they've added, it feels a lot more half-baked than some of the older stuff that had like more time put into the like polish. And there was this one game that I got real into for a while called Tank Hero.
Okay.
It was like one of those games where you scroll through your character auto shoots and you've just got to like move around dodging, and and then I think you've got an ability as well. That game started out like amazing. It was just really fun to play. It had like you would go through a bunch of dungeons, you get to a point where you couldn't progress anymore. You'd go out, collect all your rewards, upgrade your tank, go back in, all of a sudden you're more powerful, you can go further. And they had a really cool idea, and they'd done it pretty well. It got a bit weird later on with the scaling because you started needing to grind for ages and ages to make any upgrades.
Yes.
But what the direction they went when they upgraded stuff was they just kept adding other parts of the game that you could tack into, and it was the same kind of thing where like all of a sudden it was like menus within menus, where like you had to go through a menu to find the next place to go, and like it was like a whole other area with its own set of little. You've got to click the thing on the map to go into it. But it just didn't feel as well thought out as the original game that they had made.
Yeah. There's a few examples of this at the moment that I've been playing. One's it's just called Idle 1, which maybe that should have been a red flag already.
Yeah.
But
that's
the progression. Better in Idle 2.
Are they trying to get to the top of, if you search Idle and list in alphabetical?
It's possible. It's as far as I can tell, there are different worlds in it that you can like progress through. But I'm only in the first one. I haven't unlocked any additional ones. The only reason I know or get the sense that there are other ones is when I open it up, it says World 1.
Right. I see.
And
But if it's called Idle One, that might just be that they just tack one onto the end.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Good, very good.
it's
very
only
good
it's
point.
only one world.
But it's
It's just a trick to keep you playing because you're like, I want to see the other worlds.
well, I'm so close to getting to the other world. The
Yeah.
problem is the way the progression works is you get these points basically when they add up and then you have to prestige to like spend them
Okay.
basically, right? But you don't get to spend them. It is automatically spent on a random perk.
Really?
Oh.
So you have, I think there are currently like 9 different tiers, and each tier has 3 perks.
Yeah.
And the points get automatically spent on one perk from one tier.
Oh wow.
And you don't have any control over it. So
Yeah.
and at some point, several of the perks, about 2/3 of those perks, become useless.
Wow.
So if you are getting those spent on random, because it's completely random, it gets spent on something that's useless.
Mm.
That whole prestige was worth
Wow.
nothing.
Yeah.
You have to start again.
Yep.
And it goes at the same pace. And I still haven't gotten past the first world
God.
because I just keep getting spent. It's getting spent on like making the very first tier 100 million times cheaper.
Wow.
But it caps at 400, like whatever, and I could already reach that instantaneously. So
Yeah.
making it cheaper does nothing for me.
Right.
Anyway, that's the example. There's one that I've been playing for a really long time
Okay.
called Tap Wizard 2. I may have talked about it.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
think you were playing that a little while ago.
Yeah, and it has some Path of Exile references in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's like a really solid game, and there's like a lot of cool elements, but the UI is just
Oh no.
an eldritch nightmare.
Yeah.
Because it's highly customizable.
Oh.
So like everything is its own object on the UI, and
Mm.
you can put things inside of bags that you can make.
Yep.
And when I say that everything is an object, I mean like you get to a point where you are progressing, and to help speed up your progress, they're giving you these items that will give you 2 spell perks instead of 1, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that are 2 spell perks are an item that sits in your inventory. And then there's other things that become those things at certain points to make sure that it's tapering that progression
Yeah.
properly. And
Mm.
those are its own item. And then there's like things that produce those.
Jesus.
And so you have these like just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of items. And
Is this just like inventory management, the game, or
it
something?
really it feels like at times. And then like when you like hit an important like benchmark or threshold or whatever, and you're prestiging,
Yeah.
that's when you get a lot of like the core advancement elements. So it's like you can rank up your spell staff or whatever, and so you're going to be like broadly stronger, and you get some like resource some passive tree points basically, and you get some other stuff, but all of these things are in their own different locations, and so you have to go through all these menus or sub menus or whatever
Oh,
that you've
God.
created
Yeah.
to interact with them once
Oh, boy.
when you level up,
Yeah.
just to make sure that they upgrade.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you've reached the level, you have to press the button to upgrade it. It
Yeah.
doesn't auto upgrade,
Oh, jeez.
and you don't really look at it outside of when you level up.
But
So
are you setting all this up yourself?
Some of them I did, but some of them I didn't. At one point, the developer did a like patch that was meant to sort of automatically group a lot of things that are related.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they weren't related in terms of how you interact with them. They're related in terms of theme. So
okay.
like, all of your kind of like character progression elements are now kind of in one spot,
Hmm.
but you don't necessarily interact with all those elements at the same time. So you still kind of have to go through 5 different menus every time you level up
Yeah.
Hmm.
to get all of the parts that advance when you level up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's like the game would be so. I really like the game, but that's despite its method of interaction.
Hmm.
Is it only a problem later in the game when you're like at this point where you've got heaps and heaps of those
It
things?
certainly gets worse as time goes on.
Yeah.
I think it started off pretty reasonable, but then like they add in more and more elements. There's like a lore book. There's perks. There's like there's here's a really good example. There's an item that's like it's like a scroll or something, and it determines your character's AI. It's like how it reacts to enemies that are nearby. How many and like is it aggressive? Is it passive? That kind of thing. And then later on, you get a separate item that makes that more customizable.
Okay.
So now you've got the item that that determines how your wizard behaves.
Yeah.
Now has more options on it,
Yeah.
and then a separate item that has nothing on it,
Oh,
but what was the thing that granted those more options.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
But now I've had this item forever. It just
Right.
sits on the UI.
It just
Like, what
sits
do I
there.
do with this?
Wow.
It just goes in a bag that I have to make.
Yeah.
It's just
What are you actually doing in this game? Because I know you talked about it before, and I don't remember what it is. But in my mind, it's just you're sitting there in a dungeon with open bags, rifling through stuff, and
No,
that's the
okay.
game.
So it is at its core. It's kind of a vampire survivor ish game.
Okay.
Like there's monsters coming in from all directions, and your character automatically casts spells.
Okay,
at the monsters
that's the
Yeah.
the AI that
And-
you're talking
and-
about.
And you can manually maneuver the character around.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Right.
So that's and you get like a bunch of resources from killing monsters. You got money, you
Yep.
get like souls or something, and then the further you get, the faster you level up.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's the core of the game is just sort of like maneuvering, dodging things, killing things, and then interacting with 18 different menus.
But then the
when you
real
level up.
the real game is managing everything around that
Yeah.
that facilitates your character
Yes.
to automatically do all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see.
exactly.
And that's all physical objects in bags.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Can you
get why
reorganize? You can reorganize the bags yourself,
you
right?
can, yes.
Yeah.
And I have done so.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is an arrangement that makes it good.
It's-
If you'd never had to interact with the things and they just automatically leveled up,
Yeah.
do you think you would still be playing it? Like, what? No, sorry. Better question is like, what would there be to do outside of that? Because a lot of those idle games are really just around.
The things you get, right, and interacting with the upgrade mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the question. It is. I think some elements are warranted,
Hmm.
and some elements are not.
So you want to be able to click some of the upgrade things, just not.
Yeah. There. For example, there's a thing. It's like I think it's called it's like a vase or something. I forget the name of it, but its whole purpose is, it will collect progression elements while you're offline,
Okay.
right? And at certain levels, not every level. In fact, it's only like every second or third level for most of the game, but it becomes kind of every level by the time you get to a certain level. You can level up this vase to store like an extra object,
Okay.
and that's all it does.
Yeah.
And the only other interaction you have with it is clicking.
What object would you put in it?
It's
stuff you
something that's
find, right?
automatically collected
Oh, I
when
see.
when you're offline.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
when you've put your phone down, you go to sleep or whatever. When
Yeah.
you wake up or when you check it again,
Yeah.
it will have collected like money and experience.
I
And,
see.
and some things called runes, and leveling it up lets it store more runes.
Right. I see.
So the only interaction you have with it is hitting level up,
Yeah.
and it's not consistently every level.
Hmm.
And there's no like fun element there. I don't even look at the thing when I open the game. I
Yeah.
just click OK because I get the things. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it says.
I see. But
So-
it's a physical thing in the.
It's a physical
in the game.
thing, and it's a thing that if I don't hit level up,
Yeah.
I am doing it to the detriment of
Yeah.
my
Right.
progression. I'm getting fewer runes
Mm.
because it doesn't store as many. So
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
remember to level it up. The game will remind you to level up most things with like a little like exclamation mark or whatever, like a
Yeah.
thing that's like there's a thing you have to interact with, but often not for this specific thing.
Oh, that sucks. Because a lot of those
So-
games become like chasing the question mark.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
Like there is an
Exactly.
element of if the things feel satisfying enough, like sure you click the exclamation marks, you get your rewards, like
Yeah.
that is part of the fun of them.
Yeah, but when it's not consistent,
Yeah.
and when they're scattered all over the place and they're within nested menus because there's only limited screen space, it's just it's becomes a chore and especially when it's not a feat. It could just automatically progress.
Yeah.
It could just be that now that I've reached this level, I can store an extra room. I would never have to interact with it.
Hmm.
Likewise, I got this scroll upgrade item that upgrades an item I already had and is itself an item. And there's just no reason for that to be the case. It could just be that the scroll is upgraded when I hit this level up.
Yep.
There's no reason to have it be a separate object that I now just have to forever have stored.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you need is an item that upgrades things for you while it's in your inventory. Because then you didn't.
But I have to remember to upgrade it because it only upgrades a certain number of items.
Yeah. And it'll give you an exclamation mark sometimes
Yeah.
to let you know to do it.
But then you've got other items that you can add that upgrades that so that it can upgrade more items while you're.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's another great example. Every so often you get like a free thing from the store, basically.
Right.
A lot of games not do this. And this is like 2 or 3 nested menus to get the free thing from the store. If you're playing a lot, there's like a leaderboard, and you can get fractions of the thing that you can get from the store. And those go in a different spot, and they accumulate. And
Yeah.
once you hit like a certain threshold, you can turn it into the thing that you get from the store. But it doesn't automatically turn into the thing that you get from the store. You have to manually find it in your inventory and upgrade it.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
Yep.
it's just there's so many little elements like that all throughout that game that
Yeah.
could be, I think, pretty easily cleaned up, or at
Yeah.
least like there's a methodology you could apply to clean it up.
Yep. I'm just wondering, is there a niche of people who are like, I just love inventory management, and it's like the only thing I
You have
want
to ask
do.
Path of Exile players. Am I right? Am I right, guys? Am I right?
It sounds like Path of Exile inventory nightmare just on steroids, though. Like,
Yeah,
That Dredge game is an entirely
I've seen.
inventory management
Yeah.
fishing game.
Tell us about that.
Mm.
Oh,
Tell us about Dredge.
Dredge, is honestly fantastic.
Yeah.
I first heard about it from Rory, who I work with in the web team.
Okay, yeah.
And he was like,
Not
there's
the
this-
Rory who's been on the podcast.
No.
Correct.
And he was talking about how there's this New Zealand studio that just made this game. And then the game started popping up on YouTube, and I was like, I watched like 5 minutes of someone play this game. I was like, yeah, I want to play that. It's a little bit sort of Lovecraftian horror,
Yeah.
a little bit inventory management, and a little bit just progression-y as well.
There's like, correct me if I'm wrong, there's also some randomized elements, right? Like,
Randomized.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could totally be wrong, but I think like there are objects in the water that will obstacles that will come and go, and
You're a fishing vessel. I
Yeah.
think
You are a
I
fishing
don't know if
vessel.
you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Sorry.
your name is Bodie McBoatface.
yeah. So you're fishing for stuff, right? And it's got
so-
this Lovecraft vibe to the
Yeah.
whole thing.
The
Yeah.
game starts out and you're like shipwrecked, and then you wake up in this town, and the mayor lends you a boat, and you've got to pay off the loan for the boat, and you go
Oh,
out,
yeah.
you go fishing, and you run into these little pools of fish. All the different kinds of fish will like be a different shape. You can only fit certain. So you've got it's probably like 12 by 12ish grid.
Okay.
But some of that grid is taken up by your boat's engine
Oh.
and your fishing rod.
Yeah, so you just toss
And-
those immediately.
Yeah, and then you jam your hand into the water and hope that nothing with tentacles grabs. No. Yeah. So and then each of the fishing for the different kinds of fish will be a different kind of little mini game.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then so you like go around, you're catching the fish. Every so often you get like a weird, like otherworldly kind of mangled fish
Oh.
that has like tumors or
Yep.
is just weird in some kind of way. And then once you get enough money, find enough things, you can sort of upgrade your boat, go faster, get better fishing rods.
Yep.
And the main theme of the game is trying to find these relics from the different areas. But it's just like it's legitimately really cool, and it was made by a New Zealand studio as well.
Yeah.
Like one of the islands you go to, you can hear like fantails in the background.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've heard multiple people talk about the bird sounds. In that
Yeah.
game.
That's so cool.
I'd
seen this pop up on YouTube for like a few months.
Yeah.
And I had I'd seen gameplay of it because I was like, this looks like an interesting game. No idea that it was a New Zealand studio. Like,
Yeah.
The developer is called Black Salt,
yeah.
which I think is interesting because that's where we used to do trivia.
Yeah, it's a
we used to
bar.
go drink there quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I wonder if are they based in Auckland?
I don't actually know specifically where they are. I just know that they're. a New
I'm
Zealand studio.
pretty sure they're not because I looked up. I think they're in Christchurch.
Okay.
I looked up I looked up their website, and one of the guys I went to media design school works there.
Yep.
And there's like 4 people on their team or something. Like at least it says on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but there's like the inventory management stuff you're talking about. From what I've seen of it, it's like essentially the PoE grid, or I guess Diablo grid.
Yeah, roughly.
But you can also rotate items, right?
Yep. So you can get like L-shaped fish, and you've got
Yeah.
to rotate the L-shaped.
L-shaped fish.
Yep.
Oh man, this is some Tetris
Yeah,
inventory.
yeah. I mean, you catch some like larger fish that are just like big weird shapes,
Wow.
and then you've got to fit like oh, so one of the other things is that you've got things that you need to like maintain. You can also damage your boat,
Yep.
and then if you stay out at night and like start going a bit mad, then things can pop up that damage your boat as well.
Really?
And that whole Lovecraftian side of it, I felt like the game was easy, but at the same time, every time at night, I was really on edge.
Oh shit.
Like they do a really good job of just
build that
building
atmosphere.
tension.
Yeah.
Where was I going? Oh yeah, so you do need to keep fishing to keep gaining money to be able to repair your boat and
Yeah.
Mhm.
actually do the upgrades and things. So you really do want to try fill your inventory as much as possible. But each fish you catch takes time, and then time takes you towards night, and,
Mhm.
and it's like it's just a
So what
really
What
engaging
happens
build.
at night? Like that
you
you're
just
so
start
afraid of?
seeing things in the dark, and then like things will pop up and deal damage to you. Also, when it's dark, even though you've got a light on the boat, like rocks
Oh
will
yeah.
sort of pop up closer. Like they were there originally,
Yeah.
but you just couldn't see them. in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dark.
Right.
Yep.
So you have a shorter view distance, basically.
Yeah. And then
Is
there's
there
like ghost
upgrades that-
ships that try ram you. And,
Oh really?
Yeah.
Holy heck. Are there upgrades that ever make the night feel safer, or is it always
Safer, yes,
Yeah.
but you still don't feel safe. I mean,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I would
Uh,
imagine that as you progress, the night gets more intense anyway, to sort of counteract that. Like new threats
The
emerging
thing
and
is-
stuff.
yeah. And other things start happening like during the day as well that make it so that by the time you
wow.
get to night, you're probably already a bit damaged.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Is there a thing of like the further out you go, the more crazy things get, or was it just the night? Like the further
just-
away from
it's
the
more
land?
just the night in general, and
Okay.
you do want to be able to get back to like a dock
Yep.
before a certain part of the night, or
And there's multiple docks.
Yep.
Okay.
each and even just weird little ones that you find around.
Oh,
that
cool.
Might have like a campfire there, and you can jump off your boat.
Oh,
and-
that's cool.
I mean, it's all just dialogue in terms of exploring.
Oh,
those
I see.
areas,
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah.
So you don't have a physical entity off the boat.
No, you can't like walk around outside of that.
So you basically are a boat.
You are a boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
They should have called it that.
You are a boat.
You are
You
a
are,
boat.
you are a boat.
You are
Yeah.
a boat.
I would probably still play that. I'd play the You Are a Boat game.
Exactly. I almost feel like more people would play a game called You Are a Boat. Probably doesn't set the greatest tone for what they're going for, but
Yeah,
but
you're a boat, and it's a bit of a horror.
yeah, a lot of
The video game.
you're a spooky boat.
Yeah.
What's the actual end goal? Like
Well, it's to collect those relics.
Okay, and what does that do though? Was it just collect them?
There's a guy that's asking for them.
I see.
I don't want to go too far into that because it has a really cool story.
Oh,
and
neat. Okay.
It'd get very spoilery if I
Yep. Okay.
said what the relics are like for or anything.
All right. Because like when you say Lovecraft stuff, like I've read some Lovecraft stuff, and there is occasionally like relics that weird cults are, worshipping, and
Yeah.
and people find them and are like, what the heck is this thing? And it's like some weird.
I think that's definitely what they're trying to like go for in
Yeah.
terms of like some of the relics. Like there'll be a story around them when you find them,
Yeah,
and they allude to all sorts of things.
that's cool.
There's also like little message in a bottles that you find while you go around, and they
Oh yeah. Did they say spooky
they,
things?
They tell another part of the story and
Mm.
things like that. It's just cool. Like they did a really good job, honestly.
We have to address the elephant in the room, which is Zelda is out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And they did some. They did a preview a few weeks ago.
Yep.
They did, and then like within the last week, a bunch of content creators put a bunch of stuff out because the embargo was lifted.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about it?
I think we can. I've not seen it, like I was saying
haven't
before.
seen it either.
Yeah, I was saying before the podcast, I didn't want to spoil. I wanted to go in
Man,
with no like expectations or any. I wanted to discover everything new.
yeah,
but-
I totally understand that.
But from what you were telling me, I reckon just tell me.
well, it's just I think the most important
'Cause
thing
it sounds
is I
really
want
great.
It, I want it really bad, and I want it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that surprised me. For those who have been following the trailers and stuff, there's like these technological elements that Link is interacting with, like fans and rockets and all sorts of stuff that is just it sort of sticks out as like that's weird, right? It's all these like kind of sci-fi elements. Those are just you can just have those in your inventory and you can just whip them out and use them whenever you want, and they get consumed.
Yep.
But the game is built around. It seems from what I've seen from these previews, it is built around carrying these objects with you and other objects, and using them with these new powers to find new ways to travel. Like all the old powers are gone, so no more magnesis, no more like bombs, even.
Yeah, like that was a big surprise to me. I just like you kind of said before as well that you also thought that they would just keep the powers and just add new ones.
Exactly, I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell, at least from these very early previews,
it makes some sense with what you were saying, where instead of magnesis, you just have telekinesis.
Yeah, it's
Pick
called
stuff up.
Ultra Hand,
Okay.
which
Ultra hand.
is a pretty silly name. However, it's a reference to like a Nintendo product from like the 60s or 70s.
Not the Power Glove.
No, the Ultra Hand. It's called the Ultra
Was
Hand.
it?
Yeah, and it is. You know those like grabby claws? You like squeeze a handle and it like shoots out and grabs. a thing? Yeah. It's one of those.
What?
Nintendo, I guess, made them back like before they started making video games.
When they were
There's one called the Ultra Hand, and
man, that's a deep Nintendo cut.
yes,
Then
yes, yes, it is. Koroks are back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they give you seeds as far as I know.
Yeah.
I'm not positive, but I assume they give you seeds. Which is interesting because, like, does that mean that the same sort of inventory restrictions apply? Or are these new?
If,
I don't know.
A lot of the game is around solving or moving, having to carry different things to do a bunch of like movement or to solve puzzles and things, then inventory is even more valuable, right?
Yeah, but
Especially
the thing
if you
is,
need to take those around.
yeah, in Breath of the Wild though, your like random object storage inventory was infinite. As far as I knew. It was the weapons, shields, and bows that were limited, and that was what you expanded space for.
I would hope that maybe it's just another inventory for these.
That was my thinking.
These
Yeah,
things.
your
Because-
physics inventory.
Yeah, because like using up, say, like weapon slots for those doesn't feel great, and cycling through your just food inventory,
was like-
doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
So it seems like there'd probably be another one that perhaps you're upgrading that one.
Very possibly. You have to. You certainly have to go through that like random object inventory when you're fusing items to your weapons and bow.
Sure.
It's like essentially the same way they did the powers, where it's like sort of a long scroll.
Yep.
Bar thing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, what do you mean powers?
Or I guess like if you're choosing your swords, for example.
Yeah.
You have like
yes.
this long scroll.
Yeah. That's the type of menu I'm thinking that they would probably add. Yeah.
I'm very excited. the just a few of the like random fusion combinations they've shown off. Random people have tried. Like if you your most basic example is when you kill like a bokoblin or whatever, you can get a bokoblin horn and you can fuse that to a weapon to just give it a bunch of extra damage.
Wow.
And like it's like if you're holding like a sword, it'll have this big curved horn sticking on the end of it.
When the actual mechanic of fusing stuff, is it similar to cooking where you just pick everything, put it in your hand, and then
No, it's like there's a I think you select the power, and then it brings up this inventory, and you just choose. the thing,
Okay, cool.
And it will fuse it to.
I like
whatever you're
that.
holding, I think.
I like that more.
Yeah, it looks really streamlined.
Yeah.
And I know of some stuff that got leaked that makes certain other elements even more streamlined that I'm not going to mention.
Mm.
Some of the crazier things you can do with the fusion. I know people were speculating about meat arrows because you could fuse like random meat to your arrows.
Yep.
And you can do that to like bait monsters.
Yeah.
So you can
I
shoot
can
an arrow
imagine that.
somewhere, and then a bunch of monsters
Head over
run
to
over
it.
and try and eat
Yeah.
it. The Keese eyeballs when they showed off, it makes it like a critical hit homing arrow.
Oh.
that's right.
But it is if you fuse a Keese wing, it causes the
Yeah.
arrow to fly super far. So
Huh.
you can make it like super long range.
Yep.
So this, I mean, they call it fusing, but it's crafting then.
yeah, it's
Like you're
crafting
going
on the
through a
fly.
crafting menu, right? And if you're making homing arrows, do you just sit there making, a dozen homing arrows?
No, you're doing it. It's like your next shot does this thing. So
Oh,
you're doing
I
it
see.
in the midst of combat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Well, that's pretty neat.
yeah, it is. There's some non-combat mechanics that utilize this sort of stuff as well, though. Like, for example, there's like the Zonai rocket that we've seen in like some of those previews.
Hmm.
You can fuse that to your shield,
Yeah.
and then you'll just go flying up when you can take your shield out.
Yeah.
Like you'll just go, and then it'll drop off. And
That's
you fall.
great. That's great.
And that's just like a cool
Yeah.
way to navigate the world.
Yeah.
Is you can just slap a rocket to your shield and blast your way up.
Well, so much of what's coming, right, is in the sky. So it's just like all
Yeah.
traversal stuff is like, we want to facilitate that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people talked about there's like an early boss fight which has like multiple different phases and different ways to
Oh.
interact with each phase that
Oh,
uses
neat.
all these different powers.
That's actually something that should be really great is the boss fights.
Yeah.
Because the DLC had probably
Great-
like the best boss
great-
fight in the
great
whole
boss fights,
game.
yeah.
And so I would expect the next game to just carry that on. Like, because
Uh,
that had multiple phases.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the boss fight, I'll spoil it.
Yep.
So if you don't want to be spoiled, close your ears. Or I guess stop listening to the podcast because we're almost done.
Yeah. Turn it off.
hit that power button. Hit that like and subscribe and
Yeah.
power button. There's like in the trailer there's like a big cube golem
Oh,
thing.
yep.
Yep.
I remember seeing that.
that like shapeshifts into a bunch of different things, and
Ah.
each of those like different forms you can interact with like in a different way with your powers.
Hmm.
So there's like one of the new powers is Ascend, which lets Link leap up through ceilings,
Oh, wow.
and at some point the boss will become like a ceiling
Oh.
and you go through him and stuff.
Yep.
Which is just crazy, like a boss that you jump through and
Yeah.
and you there's like I assume he's gonna throw blocks at you that you can reverse towards him.
Oh, yes.
and,
Yes. Yep.
maybe you'll be able to fuse things to him. I don't know. It's
Okay.
just very exciting. I'm very excited.
Yep.
Some of the random like aircraft these people were making, like actual controllable aircraft,
Yeah.
just in their gameplay demo.
I really think
Yeah.
that Nintendo looked at the videos of the things people had made
Oh, for sure.
and just been like, let's just make
Support it.
Yeah, let's support it.
And they also said, well, we're fixing all these bugs.
Yeah.
Like this, I saw one of these like random Zelda content creators trying to use some of the exploits that work on Breath of the
Oh, yeah,
Wild, and
didn't-
they just weren't working.
Yeah.
So, but if you think about it, most of the exploits involved stasis and bombs,
Yeah.
and like the magnesis, I think, as well, like
Mm.
doing the double
Yeah.
minecart lift thing.
Yeah. But now they've just
none of those powers are there anymore.
Yeah, none of them are there, but then they've also just given you the ability to make
yeah,
essentially the same thing
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
That's gonna be
Anyway.
good. It's gonna be good. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So if I'm not on that podcast, it's because I'm glued to the couch.
That's why. Yep.
I feel like it's probably safe to assume that we're not doing one in 2 weeks if it's the like
Well-
2 days after.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'll be.
When does it release? What actual day
I
in
think
New
on the
Zealand?
Friday before.
Ooh, that's
Um,
so you get like a day and a night
Yeah,
of playing it.
yeah. I think luckily the company I work for has a day off that day.
Oh, that's good.
So hopefully my game will arrive early morning and I'll
Ooh.
be able to play through it. But with New Zealand Post, it's probably gonna come on Monday.
You're not downloading it?
No, I want to
You want to own the physical.
own
You
it.
want to. Yep. You want to put it on your shelf and look at that.
The data, the amount of data.
Yeah, yeah. And the Wii of the
Wii?
the Wii.
The Switch doesn't have that much.
The Switch doesn't. Yeah.
Mm.
I think I can only store like maybe 3, maybe 4 games at the most
Yeah.
in there. Like.
Yeah, we got an SD card, and even
Yeah.
that's pretty much full at this point.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Especially if they add DLC for Zelda, which I would assume
Yeah,
they will,
yeah.
then yeah, it's just not really worth. Like I'd have to spend as much on the game getting an SD card to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think get it because like, dude,
I've already got it. I've already. Paid
I think
for
you
it.
should get it, Nick. You
Thank
should get it. Nick,
I've got it.
treat yourself.
Okay.
Get it. Because you get to put it on your shelf and
Yeah.
be like, look at that.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then I maybe will rip it down.
In the age of like Steam downloads and stuff, there is a thing that I do miss of just the library
display.
of the display.
Mm.
Yeah, like I
Well,
have.
with PlayStation, it's like you got to buy the physical copy because it'll be like $20-30 cheaper.
It's so crazy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
always cheaper to buy a disc. Don't
wow.
understand how,
Yeah.
but
And then you still have to download 100 gigs anyway.
yeah, sometimes.
Oh yeah. There's one patch.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I forgot. No, I was gonna say like I do have boxes of video games from like the early 2000s that I still have, and I haven't
Yeah,
put
that's
them.
cool.
I haven't bothered unpacking them yet, but eventually I'll put them into
put 'em on
shelves.
display.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it's things like the big box. Like I've
The
got a
big
Neverwinter
collector's
Nights.
edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good, so good. Don't get that anymore.
No.
Now it's just like scrolling through the Steam library, going, I didn't know I owned that.
Yeah.
Check out my library. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, look at the screenshot of all these games I've not played.
All right, we are over time. Thanks for listening. You can email friendsyquestion@gmail.com and tell us if you're playing Zelda. Hey, Paul, you going to play Zelda?
Probably.
Oh, that's disappointing. Only a probably, huh?
You played the original, eh?
Yeah,
didn't
but
beat it.
I also didn't finish it, and yeah, I don't know. It sounds cool, but
Yeah.
Good.
It's a game I really
Put off playing a long time.
well not so much put off but dragged out
Yeah.
because I was playing it I took
Yeah.
like what 3-4 years basically
Something like
to every
Yeah.
couple of months I'll play it for like a week or 2
Yeah.
or something like that and really enjoy it, but
Yeah.
I always was like I don't
You
want
wanna
to
end
finish it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm going to marathon it probably.
I mean it's so it's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Anyway,
Where are you buying it from?
Mighty Ape.
Okay.
Is this good podcast content?
I was just thinking I should probably get the physical copies because I was thinking of just downloading it, but it is
Yeah.
true that like
my thought had been sometimes Mighty Ape sends games early.
yeah.
Then maybe I'll.
I
be able
mean
to play it.
Mighty Ape is good.
Yeah.
This is a very local reference.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back in a couple weeks, probably. If
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
a little later. Bye.
And play more big ambi sounds.
Oh no, I haven't. It's too annoying to play.
We can talk about this, but you guys made like big businesses, right? You guys had a lot of like you had 50 lawyers or something
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on. at
yeah.
I
one
never
point.
got that far. I had like 3 employees.
Oh, okay, so you got as far as me there, and I was like, "This is a grind.
Yeah.
Owning a business is a
Yeah,
grind."
yeah. It started feeling like work.
Yeah, it did. It did. And I tried to set it up in a way that was like, I think I had 3 or 4 employees, and I was trying to get the business to basically run 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because I'd started a cafe, and I'd gotten it not running 24 hours, but like starting at like 6 a.m. and going till midnight.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. But then there were times where I'd wake up and be like, because I made it so I don't have to be at shift.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I actually don't have anything to do because I don't have enough money to upgrade anything yet. So I'm just sort of wandering around the town,
Buy supplies.
doing nothing. And yeah, I've been
clean.
like just buying supplies all day.
Still, that's worthwhile. Like it's what's really more annoying is when you've got lots of cash,
Yeah,
but no time.
yeah.
And I don't like the way that game controls. Like the way you have to interact with objects and stuff.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
very
yeah,
annoying.
yeah.
I did get a little bit frustrated with things like unpacking crates and things.
Yes,
got
yes.
very
Managing
annoying.
your car storage. Ugh.
Yeah. But I still played quite a lot of it. I had a lot of fun. I just had a point where like the next thing to do was to open another massive, massive store. And the process of hiring 50 people
Mm-hmm.
like really needs some work. But I don't know, it's a weird thing because if you automate everything and streamline everything, then that game plays itself rather than you
Yeah. I mean,
having to do
Yeah,
anything. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of it's a weird situation
It's
where
it's like you're aiming for the goal of the game playing itself, and then when you get there, you're kind of like, what do I do? I
Yeah.
actually don't have anything to do.
I
Except,
mean, I kept expanding. Like, it's got shitloads of milestones and achievements and stuff that you can go for. But I sort of got to a point where I think I was making like $1 million a day in the game.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't really want to just go like open another store just to get these other
Yeah,
achievements kind of thing.
yeah.
I felt like I'd solved the loop
yeah.
sort
Yep.
of thing.
You need a shareholders who always want more profit every year, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter how much money you make one year, you have to make more the next.
Yeah. Well, I think having some kind of like risk and like they've got all the things where like things fluctuate in price at different points in time. And other
okay.
businesses that will like pop up and go
Yeah.
away and stuff. I think actually it would do really well with having like a lot more competition
Mm.
where like people, if you don't make a business a certain amount